Hello, I'm Paul Larson. When it comes to great works of art, people can learn about them through their sense of sight, but a tactile book series encourages kids to let their fingers explore the masterpieces as well. In this author visit, co-author Amy Guglielmo of Plattsburgh, New York, talks about the multi-textured Touch the Art series. I really enjoy this series of books you're creating. Will you tell us about them?
Absolutely. This is the Touch the Art series, and it's an interactive introduction to famous works of art for children. The kids can go inside the paintings and actually touch or tug or pull their way through art history, we say.
Well, let's look at one of the books.
Absolutely. This is Make Van Gogh's Bed, and it's by Julie Appel and myself. And this book starts with Van Gogh's bedroom. This is his painting of his actual bedroom. And kids can come in and make the bed here, pull on the covers, and you can explore the room and find chairs and windows and pictures and cups and desks and drawers and all sorts of things in this room for kids to look around. When we turn to this page, we see that Degas ballerina, and the kids always get excited and say, ooh, and want to touch the skirt, and that's part of it, to really get it interactive with the art and to go inside the painting and explore. And the girls always love to touch this and look at her shoes. This is a famous painting by Renoir with a girl with the watering can, and you can see the watering can here. Kids can count the buttons and notice the boots and look around the garden, but they love to pull on the ribbon and see the little girl that might look like them. And then we turn to Starry Night, the famous picture. And when kids see this, they really identify with the image because it's something that's so familiar. So they might say Van Gogh or Starry Night or I know this picture. And one kid even told me that he saw it on the side of a bus. The picture from the book was on the side of a bus. So it's nice for them to make the connection, and it's also a great vehicle to talk about the night sky and moon and stars and some things that we might see at night.
You have written several books of this nature. How did this whole project start?
I started out teaching in preschools and kindergartens and had art as my background, and since it was what I knew, I used it in the classroom to teach reading and vocabulary, history, and math. With Picasso, we looked at shapes in the paintings, and that's how the kids could find the shapes and name the shapes. And it was really useful for me because that's all I knew. And it was a different way of teaching, and the kids really responded to it.
So what actually gave you the idea for the book series?
The series came from what I was using in the classroom. A lot of parents and kids were really excited about the use of the masters, and the kids would go home and talk to their parents and grandparents about seeing artists and knowing about art, and the parents came in to me and said, my child knows Picasso, how did this happen? And one of the parents actually asked if we could make a video series or a book series, and Julie and I, about 10 years ago, started working together, and that led to the Touch the Art series. She said, wouldn't it be fantastic if we could put hair on Mona Lisa and really take kids inside the paintings and make the art interactive for kids? I took her daughter's kindergarten class to the MoMA, to the Museum of Modern Art in New York, and one of the kids was so excited when he saw a Picasso, he actually ran up and tried to touch it. And that's where the touch aspect came from. Wouldn't it be nice for kids to touch art in a book, but not in a museum? So it really teaches them. He was very lucky. I wish I could do that, but only a 5-year-old can get away with that.
What is it about having the tactile experience that you feel is important?
When kids are just learning how to listen and read and interact in a classroom, there are different skills that come in. So some are auditory, some are listening, and some are visual. And the tactile part encourages everything. So if you're learning by looking and by touching and by listening, you're really getting that message to many different styles of learning.
Well, Julie Appel writes these books with you. What exactly is her role and what's your role?
It's amazing that we collaborate so well together, but we do the writing together and we actually decide on the art together. I have more of an art background, so I might come up with some images, but we choose everything together and really do the writing collaboratively.
So were you exposed to art as a child?
I was. I grew up in an artistic family. My mom and dad are both artists and a very artistic community. It just got in my blood, and I like to give it back to the kids that I'm with now and back to the community that nurtured me.
Well, you enjoy exposing children to art, but do you also create your own art?
I do. I'm very inspired by the masters as well, and also by children's art. And like Picasso, I struggle to paint like a child. As we get older, we start to tighten up and worry about our art, but I like the freedom that children express with their art, and I'm trying every day to paint more and more like a child.
Well, how do you choose the images that go into the books?
It's a long process to choose the artwork. Julie and I look at hundreds of images, and sometimes we do themes like Renaissance or Baroque or pop art. But we really want the art to be famous, heavy hitters, masters, stuff that's recognizable, but it has to be kid-friendly and have great spaces for kids to touch. And we try not to repeat the touch spaces, so it has us thinking creatively as well.
What are some of the challenges that come up when you're trying to get images to go into the books?
Well, when you're working in publishing, you have a deadline, and sometimes you don't hear back from people, but also there are different expenses for different pieces of art, different estates. You need permission. For example, when we were looking at the pop art cover, we knew we wanted the Warhol Campbell soup can, the icon, on the cover. And cover art is very expensive, so to secure permissions, we had to go through Warhol's estate as well as the Campbell soup estate. And everyone wanted a little bit of money for that, and actually a lot of money. And when we secured the Warhol Marilyn Monroe, we had to get approval and make payment to Marilyn Monroe estate. So some are very complicated, and the Egyptians didn't give us any trouble because they're all long gone. But it's actually paying for the right to use the images.
Why is reaching kids as an audience important to you?
Well, kids are the future, and I think we need to think more creatively as a society, and we need to solve problems in a creative way. And I hope that they'll be inspired by the artwork that they see, and that they'll actually get to create artwork from their inspiration, and that it will be in schools where they might not have art programs. And they can learn some other things from the art, such as problem solving or math or history. You're looking at these paintings and you see people wearing different dresses and different costumes, and you might not have that exposure. So for kids, it's really fantastic to look at paintings and step back in time.
Author Visits is a production of Mountain Lake PBS. For more information about the authors and their books, head to our website, mountainlake.org.